Chapter 1, When the Global Meets the Local. In New York City, London, Sydney, Paris, and Toronto lived our heroes. We all lived in a world very similar to Earth, but still so different. We were put here out of nowhere, in colonies sometimes, or perhaps by ourselves. Our main character Avanessus lived in a luxurious, nice, neat, swell, polite, nifty, dandy, cool, mannered, good, and great class castle high above a ruined New York City. TVs ran, magazines, radios, but nothing was live. There were no human beings on this planet, not many anyway. I, Avanessus, would go down to the world often to look at the spirits, pet them, talk to them, though they didn't really talk, feed them, hug them, name them, hold them, play with them, squeeze them, kiss them, and just be around them. It was this way for some time. One day as I sat in my castle watching a rerun of Friends, I heard a great explosion. This part is a healthy fucking respectful, seriously no disrespect to 9/11ths, homage to 9/11ths. There were two great towers that stood next to each other, but the explosion wiped them out and multitudes of spirits who were peacefully floating around and feeding on the vines. I began to cry as I ran out onto the glass deck of my castle. I saw the towers crumbling and right away I jumped off the deck and flew down to investigate what had happened. When this had happened, there were explosions heard round the world, one on Big Ben, the Sydney Opera House, the Eiffel Tower, and the CN Tower. Our heroes in those spaces intended or like purposed to defend the spirits of those spaces, but were really tragically transported to me, so for the time, no one knew what had happened to the spirits in those spaces. "Hi. Where am I?" Sal said. He continued. "Sorry, it's just. I lived in London. I watched the spirits who lived there. I loved them a lot. They were everything to me." His voice began to break and it became hard for him to talk. "It looks like you've experiences the same thing." He held his hand out and I shook it. "My name's Salamart. I specialize in water magic. What's your name, my nice, neat, polite, nifty, dandy, swell, mannered, cool, good, and great friend?" "My name's Avanessus. I particularly enjoy all kinds of magic, but fire tends to be my preferred method." "It's nice to meet you, AV." Sal said and smiled at him. At that time, 3 other men appeared out of nowhere and staggered as they entered the scene. They all introduced themselves and talked about how mean, rude, impolite, mad, awful, tragic, and fucking insane all this was. They talked about how they were praying the spirits back in their hometowns were protected. It turned out the vines started attacking the demons to protect the spirits. "So just who the hell are you, huh?" AV said. "My name's Gorlerm. I eat the souls of nice, neat, swell, polite, mannered, nifty, dandy, and passionate beings, so survive." "Do you have a problem with this?" the demon replied. Without a second thought, AV conjured a book that floated next to him. "Arlo Arla Marlo Arlo Arla Marlo Arla Artem." Spaces in between to make it easier to read. He flew toward the beast head. It was a huge monster with a pig's head and the body of an ugly dragon. Its tail was on fire with spikes and its body was green but discolored, fat but kind of muscular. At that time AV's left leg was covered in fire and he kicked the beast hard in the head, which forced its head to turn. The books constantly turned their pages and stayed on their respective page for a second or two. The beast sent flames from its palm at the friends and they all floated away and sent attacks at Gorlerm. "Sarla Marla Erdem Narta Sorla Orla Darlam Gardam Farla Harlo Agante." Allah yelled and sent shadow birds at it like cannons or like bullets, which staggered him greatly. "Entero Anna Fana Apta Salagalamono Fore Yamala and Monagan Tor Sando Yarlam Siro Enti Fala Ala Bar Holoke." "Ha!" Ev yelled and sent spears of sand that pierced it and eventually made it pass away. Fucking, they were glad they stopped him from eating spirits. His body melted in a puddle of black goop, then the goop too disappeared. "We have company," AR said, and they were surrounded by a pact of demons. The friends attacked them and were wounded greatly but managed to stay all the demons. Spirits were always coming to Earth, they'd come from above of course, so the friends felt it was their jobs of course to protect the poor little beings. They had a plan to take back New York from the demons. They planned to plant spirit trees around the city. This would create a huge white-blue beam of light that engulfed the whole city that would get rid of all the demons. They had to plant 4 of them on the perimeter so everyone except Al went. Al would scour the city looking for demons to fight. Al found an enormous monster as big as a skyscraper. It was a lizard, turtle, tiger, pig, cow, fucking abomination. Sarlo erdum fair lo dare no taro arlo hair lo ser care to marto arno no o holum. He sent a huge fire dragon from the ground that consumed it in flames. The monster howled loud in agony and started flailing its arms to show it was distressed. The friends fought monsters on the way to their destinations, but eventually they were able to plant the trees and New York City was liberated from its captivity. The spirits who had died came back to life and for the time being they all live peacefully, floating around in the blue light. The friends went around to multitudes of cities and did the same thing. The 4 would plant the life trees around the city while AV would fight bosses who were in the cities. Eventually they had done 10 cities. At that time a large blue-white light encapsulated all Earth and all the spirits lived, but the demons died. A door was placed in NYC that led to a spirit world. This way the friends could always visit Earth if they wanted, which became filled with multitudes of human beings. They lived happily with the spirits and they all lived happily ever after.